Hello, welcome everybody. Thank you for joining us today. Today I am going to be one of your presenters. My name is Garrett Fuller, and I'm joined with my partner, Mr. Jim Welsh with Payroll for Construction. So our overview today is your one-stop shop for accounting and payroll, taking care of your back office solutions. And there we are. I am there on the left. And on the right, we have Mr. Jim Welsh, who's going to be talking about payroll for construction. So big picture, we'll get into some of the details. As some of you may know, Foundation Software is a full job cost construction accounting solution. And payroll for construction is a construction-specific payroll service. Similar to a lot of traditional payroll services, however, we also focus on construction, union, certified payroll, and a lot of our clients use both seamlessly together. So we're going to talk about both of our solutions today, and I'll start off with a big picture view of Foundation, maybe spend about 10 or so minutes on that, maybe a little more. Jim will do the same on payroll for construction, and we'll have a few minutes for some questions that may arise. With that being said, feel free at any time to use the GoToWebinar control panel and ask questions through there. Just type them on in, and we'll do our best to help with that. Now, I will go ahead and get myself back as the presenter and start walking you through Foundation. Okay, so we should be back at this main menu of Foundation Software. And again, I'm going to walk everybody through a general overview of our construction accounting. Most of our clients, they're small to mid-sized contractors, lots of labor-intensive specialty contractors, healthy mix of that and general contractors using our software. A lot of them have outgrown off-the-shelf systems, like a QuickBooks, for example. Or, the other half that might migrate to our software, maybe you're on an older job cost accounting solution, or maybe one that they're just not happy with, or just bad support, old technology, that type of thing. So I'll start off walking through some of the classics of why somebody would use a system like Foundation for their job cost accounting and project management needs. Starting off, I'm going to go through our dashboard tool. And I think this is a really nice area to start to kind of give a big picture view of some of the things that you have access to as far as the reporting and the tools available as the day-to-day accounting entries are done. As people do their AP, their payroll, billings, it's all funneling through to some solid reports so we can see the health of the company and what's happening with our projects. So with that in mind, I'm looking at a list of certain jobs. Maybe I'm a project manager. Maybe I'm only allowed to see certain projects. The system security is very detailed as far as maybe a person can get in, maybe only see a few features in the system, maybe only see certain reports. So there's plenty of options from security rights in the system. But I'm looking at my jobs, and again, the big picture of what we build on these projects against the contract total, our estimated and actual costs. So just a summary mode to start. Each project's listed, estimated cost to actual cost. We show the percentage of completion there. And the main idea is you essentially click where you want. If you want to drill down into cost, drill down into a certain job, I'll go ahead and hit this view report button. And we're seeing similar data, just more of in a standard layout job cost report. Blue just means you can drill down. My projects are listed in blue, their numbers. That's up to each company using Foundation. It's alphanumeric. And that's all information that we can transfer over from older solutions or just solutions like QuickBooks that you're potentially using. Jobs, vendors, customers, employees, helps a bit with a transition, so to speak. So from this point, I'm just going to jump into one of these projects. Maybe there's one we want to look at a little bit further. So now we can see a quick snapshot of this job, profit on this project, our contract summary with the change order split out, committed cost. We do a great job of managing purchase orders, subcontracts, making sure we're not overbilled, seeing those commitments on job cost reports. Speaking of job cost, this job has about $200,000 of cost. So I'm going to click into this detail button, and we're going to jump into what we call cost code breakdown of the job. Now, how construction companies do their job costings different per company. Some use what we call cost codes or phase codes. Some do not. Some companies are just trying to track the main cost buckets like labor, material, subcontracts, equipment. Or in this example, let's say I'm doing a task for earthwork as an example. And these could say any type of work depending on the trade that you're in. Maybe, drywall, painting, concrete, who knows, right? I'm clicking on earthwork and it's showing that $28,000 for that task broken down by potentially labor, material cost, subcontracts, equipment. I have burden from payroll. Yeah, Jim, when he talks about payroll for construction, is going to get into that a little bit more detail, but whether you're a contractor doing payroll in-house through Foundation or using our payroll service to take advantage of, the tax filings and liabilities, W-2s, et cetera, you're still getting that labor and actual burden on your job reports, which is really helpful for job analysis. And you can keep going. If I clicked into labor, we're going to see that back-end detail. If I click into really any of these categories, material, for example, here's a couple invoices that made up that expense. We can actually, drill down to the image, for example, of that invoice. So throughout the system, you're able to drill down and jump into these types of transaction level detail, and really anywhere, not just through this dashboard tool. There's plenty of other cost reports. Some are more detailed to a great degree. Some are very basic and summarized. Just depends on the the goal of that report, for example. But if the data is there, essentially you can get it out. And I'm just kind of scratching the surface with some examples. Change order management, seeing where the job started with the original contract and estimate. Being able to track pending, maybe rejected, or in this case, this group of approved change orders, which is increasing our total updated contract amount, as you see there. Financial summaries, of course, at the end of the day, we still offer classic accounting functionality, bank recs, journal entries, profit and loss, income statements, balance sheets, WIP reports, another very classic style of report in the construction industry. Some people call them percent complete or bonding reports, over under billing, as it says here. It's another classic example. So we also have a report designer built into Foundation's base system that allows you to drop and drag and build your own custom reports, job cost, financials. We've got cash management, cash flow, open payables and receivables, of course, which is pretty traditional, but even retainage management, holding retainage, reporting that properly, releasing retainage. So just talking about some core concepts in the system, essentially. We can import estimates to a job from different estimating tools or Excel. Jim's going to talk about the payroll in greater detail. We have mobile applications for field entry where, whether it's a crew manager or an individual laborer is entering their time from a tablet or a phone. So again, to whatever degree, is it more of an individual clocking in and out? Do I prefer to have a crew manager? Maybe click on this example where I went to this grid entry where I'm saying, all right, here's a job I'm managing. Here's my crew or employees assigned to the job, and here's the various tasks that are cost codes that we budgeted. And it's all just seamless with our software because it's our mobile app. So getting labor coded in from the field, maybe material entries from the field, as I mentioned, clocking in and out is a potential option for individual employees or technicians. So that's a key piece for both Foundation users and or users of payroll for construction. Committed cost management, creating purchase orders, detailed contracts. You can customize forms, although we do preload purchase orders, invoice designs, work orders. But just having the ability to manage commitments is effective in how they talk to job costing, how we can run individual PO subcontract reports to see what's sitting out there and what we've been billed. You can route invoices for approval. AP's classic invoice entry and, cutting checks. You can do 1099s. There's lien waiver functionality, partial, final waivers. As I mentioned, invoices, if we attach scanned images and accounts payable, those can route for approval to maybe a project manager or to an owner if the invoice exceeds a certain dollar value. If the invoice in AP goes into job A, maybe that's going to get routed to job A's project manager. So he or she would get an email notifying them that they've been routed invoices, and that gives them a bump to go into the system, and as I'm doing here, review my pending list of transactions that were sent to me for approval, making sure that they were coded properly to the right phase or cost code, cost type, and if not, the opportunity to revise those. Construction billings, one of the last quick things I'm going to talk about. We could really spend quite a while saying that's obviously the idea. We want to give people a brief review today to say, here's the general things that we do, and then obviously more than happy to address one-on-one questions. I don't want to discount the helpfulness of a live one-on-one demonstration. Very efficient, simple. You ask questions, we show you the system, see if you're a good fit, and kind of go from there. Saying that, though, with construction billings, I mean, anything from classic progress billings or AIAs, right? We do very strong T&M billing options through Foundation. But these are formal, standard documents that are already built in. They roll over correctly to the next applications and keep moving. Corrections are effective on any of these progress billings for revisions. So whether you're doing just basic contract billings, extras, T&M, AIAs, unit price, quantity-driven billings, and you see there's a lot of optional modules as far as Foundation offers. Companies have heavy equipment, some don't. Some have an inventory they want to manage. Some have a service division, like a dispatch board, right, to manage for a service crew. Formal project management. We have strong tools for project management where we can manage our RFIs or submittals, change orders from the field, drill down into our projects and manage these formal documents and really avoid from having to use, a third-party tool for correspondence management. Again, managing RFIs, submittals, committed costs from the field, our correspondence logs, emails, daily logs, file sharing, pictures, videos. So we do a strong job not only on the construction accounting and construction payroll, but also helping contractors with their project management needs. Saying that, I'm going to bounce things over to Jim so he can give a review of payroll for construction. And again, we'll kind of re-review some of these questions that pop up as we wrap up today. We'll go through those. So, Jim, off to you. Appreciate the time, everybody, and thanks for joining us.
All right. Thank you very much, Garrett. Good afternoon, everybody. Morning to some on the West Coast. And as Garrett said, I'm going to kind of focus in on our standalone payroll service, payroll for construction, kind of making sure that it's clear. We have a mixed audience today in regards to some people own none of our products, which is fine. Others own, our software, but they're doing their payroll in-house or through some other means. So kind of I'll make sure I cover how that would work for you versus, hey, if you own none of our products and you're looking at using our payroll service, how we can make that interact with other programs and software such as QuickBooks and things like that. So again, just making it clear that you could own both products, you could own one or the other. It's not, if you came to us, you'd have to be forced into both of these. So as Garrett covered Foundation, payroll for construction, where there's a little bit of crossover there is, Foundation software has a very powerful payroll module. Just some people aren't ready to outsource or aren't ready to change accounting systems, but they're more looking for an ADP or Paychex or somewhere to outsource their payroll to. And that's where it was kind of natural for us to carve out part of Foundation's, modules, mostly the general ledger, job cost, and payroll modules, so that, if you weren't ready to make an accounting change, you could still get very detailed job costing, certified payroll reports, union reports. So a lot of these construction-specific reports that are oftentimes even more time-consuming than the standard payroll duties of paying the employees and taxes. So, payroll for construction, whether you work and have employees in one state or if you're moving from state to state or hiring employees from different states, is we know these projects can be all over the place. We do process payroll in all 50 states. Again, that heavy focus here, on that very detailed, complex payroll, which is usually when you get into either detailed costing or union certified payroll, where there's multiple wages and there's, different rates and fringes per job and things like that. There's just a lot of moving parts there. And again, I'll focus in on some of those construction reports we provide once payroll's processed. And again, keep in mind, these reports can be produced through Foundation as you do your payroll internally, or they can be produced without purchasing Foundation and just utilizing us as payroll for construction. So what I'll do next is come into here, and again, going to look familiar. So one of the first things I do is I do one-on-one demonstrations is, depending on if I'm working with a current client or if I'm working with somebody who doesn't know anything about us or own any of our products, is I really got to make sure that they understand that if you have Foundation, you technically have payroll for construction. You're just posting your payroll and you're paying your employees and taxes, as opposed to clicking a submit button that would trigger us to jump in and pay the employees and taxes. So for Foundation clients, oftentimes you start overthinking, am I going to lose this, or am I going to have to go to a separate company or place to do this? And the answer is no. We are two separate companies, two slightly different products, but all the same ownership group and all in the same building. So, if you've never interacted or done your payroll and Foundation, or using a QuickBooks or an ADP or something like that, of course, we're going to do more of a one-on-one detailed demo to talk specifically about your payroll, what your current pain points are, how our system can help tackle those things, and kind of walk you through more of a, 30-minute to hour-long demo to make sure that this is going to line up for you. So again, pointing out that, as you get into union or prevailing wage, that's what we specialize in. A job record, not only good for job costing, but scheduling rates and or what state the job's in if you're a multi-state contractor. So, a lot of this is just our expertise and knowledge in the industry and helping set up this environment for you to be able to navigate around and really just either enter your payroll and then submit it to us, or again, as Garrett pointed out, that mobile application, I'm just going to point out one other feature. Again, it's a similar mobile app, but if you don't own our full accounting and you don't need equipment or quantities or some of that stuff, in payroll, when we talk just payroll for construction, we're more looking at just the entry of overall time, the approval of time, and then it syncing into payroll for construction. One other thing I'll point out here too is just visibility of where your employees are at both before and after payroll. So being able to see in real time by job or by employee, who do I have out there working and what job do I have them working on? What specifically are they doing on that job for that day? So, the app gives you that ability to, whether you're using Foundation or payroll for construction, the ability to see all that information before it hits payroll, but also the ability to, whether you've entered it or whether it came from the mobile app, whoever the person on your end is in the office that is actually in charge of payroll and accounting, that person still has the ability to come in here and by employee or job, look at the days, look at the jobs, look at the regular versus overtime, different rates, maybe different cities or states being paid, and then they're going to be the one that has the final ability to edit this stuff. So using a service, sometimes people think that they're going to lose a lot of that control they have in the office. They think their employees are reporting directly to the service, how many hours to pay them on. And we know as well as you do that just can't happen. I mean, the field employees, whether handwriting it or entering it through any kind of mobile app, oftentimes that information is just not accurate. And you have to have that person in the office be the stopgap to make those adjustments when need be. So with payroll for construction and Foundation, you have that flexibility whether you do the payroll in-house or decide to outsource it to us. A couple other things before here at the end, I recap and open it up for questions. So again, one of the biggest reasons people come or look at payroll for construction, even Foundation, is once employees and taxes are paid, unlike most industries out there, for the most part, almost for all parts, your payroll job is done. You can walk away. In construction, there's things like workers' comp reporting that may need to be done weekly or monthly or quarterly, EEO minority compliance, certified payroll stuff. So, just pointing out some of this stuff and how important tracking it is, because workers' comp is the rate is high in the construction industry. So having that ability to break out by class, because when employee is just doing general labor, their rate may be significantly lower than when they're operating a piece of equipment. So being able to break that out by class, employee, earning type. So if there are exposures on things such as, overtime, double time, holiday, pay or vacation pay, it will capture this reporting so that whether you're paying this on a weekly, monthly, or quarterly basis, you're just popping in here to run a report and you're continuing to move on from payroll. Same with EEO. I mean, here's the other thing with construction, as we'll definitely touch on when I get to certified payroll, is unfortunately, there's not just one standard report out there that's like, hey, this will work for every state, every contractor, every agency, no matter where I go. Everybody wants something different. So with our only focus being construction, we have our own team of in-house web developers, programmers. We're not outsourcing that stuff. So when something pops up, we put it in, almost immediately, because it affects not one of our clients, but a vast majority of our clients, because every one of our clients is construction. Now, certified payroll, same thing. If you're a West Coast client in California, most of your certified reporting nowadays is not paper anymore. So even if I go here in a second and show you that I can provide a fully printed out piece of paper where you don't have to add anything to it, a lot of times, not even just California, but LCP tracker, stuff like that, you got to take that report and type it into a website. So just again, continuously programming things that benefit nothing but the construction industry and allowing for the system to take what looks like a jumbled mess of data, and upon hitting close, creating that file so that the contractor can upload it directly to one of those agencies. If I need printed versions, again here, I'm not going to click on every one for time purposes, but more or less just scroll through just to show this isn't just where we're located or California or New York. If there is union, certified payroll, prevailing wage stuff going on, we have a heavy presence there, a heavy client base, no matter which state it is. So we continuously program these in so that, again, once payroll is done, you're putting in a date range, picking a format, you're hitting report, and you're printing and sending this in, or again, uploading it to an agency. Same with job costing. Garrett did a real good job of pointing this out, but during my payroll demos as well, I make sure to let everyone know if you're not capturing if you're just capturing the hours times the rate of pay, you're missing a whole giant piece of what your true costs are, especially workers' comp. If you're union, these numbers would fill in and be there. And then it's letting you know what your true to the penny rate per employee is, as well as cost. And then, as he said, there's a whole job cost section where you can start digging deeper into cost codes and phases and classes and stuff like that. But at the highest level overview, just making sure that, we're letting you know that we are going to capture all this and push it back to a QuickBooks or some other accounting system, or upon posting it or submitting it, it's going to post through Foundation for the Foundation client. So none of this reporting, if you're a Foundation client, really enhances. But the best part is you don't lose any of it either, like you may if you took your payroll outside of Foundation. Lastly, like Garrett said, we try to keep it to the 30-minute mark here. We know everybody's time is valuable. Lastly, a union report. Employee name, company, date range, union, hours with totals, gross with totals, total each employee or you put into said benefits. And then a nice little summary page here for that union, and then I can go to my next union. And then the reporting, it's very detailed. So I would say across all of our clients, even though they may use the same reports, most of them aren't set up the exact same way per company, because based on who they're working for or where they're working at, this stuff changes. So if you need to break stuff down, the reporting flexibility, whether it's this union wants this and this union wants that, or this contractor wants this, but this contractor doesn't want to see that, getting these reports set up to run the way you need them 75% of the time, but having the flexibility to not call or wait on us or manually have to remove something when you kick a report to PDF or Excel. There's going to be these filtering options. And as Garrett mentioned, whether you're a full Foundation user or you just use our payroll service, payroll especially can have sensitive data. So you could have one user on your end that you want to have access to all employees, my salary, my field. And then we may have another user that they are in charge of just field payroll, but they cannot go in there and see salaried or certain salaried individuals. So making this an environment that you can play in, whether you're using full foundation for accounting and payroll, or if you're just going to use this as a service, those kinds of settings can still be put in place to make this work for you and your company. Now, lastly here, okay, one last recap here. So again, the big thing we hammer home here in today's presentation is, listen, nobody's going to really look at this at the highest level overview today and just make a decision. There's more talking, there's more examples that need to be done specific to your company. So that's where we're hoping just to let you know who we are, the things we do, the options you have in regards to using both products together, separating them and using one or the other standalone, and just being focused on nothing but construction. So that's our sole focus. We have online support, all of our support, programming, training, even Garrett and I, the sales staff, all work for the same company. So if you work with either of our products, you'll never have to worry about us after the fact pushing a part of your business to someone else that doesn't have the knowledge and expertise, doesn't have the level of care that we have for our clients. So with that being said, Garrett, I know you get kind of the questions over there. I'm just throwing up our info, so if anybody wants to jot it down and they just want pricing or they want a full-on demo, we're not overly aggressive here. What you ask for is what you'll get. So if you just want pricing, if it's foundation, you reach out to Garrett. Payroll for construction, you reach out to me. So Garrett, go ahead with some questions if there are any.
Yeah, there's a handful. There's probably some of these you may have answered as things started to progress. So there's a question. I'm just going to jump through some of these just kind of random. Does the software integrate with Procore? Yeah, so we have our own full project management solution in conjunction with Foundation Software. If somebody does use Procore for project management, we do have an integration with that solution as well. So yes, the answer to that is that's correct. Does it integrate with QuickBooks? Now, I'll let Jim answer that. Now, for Foundation, we would replace QuickBooks. If somebody's using Payroll for construction, then yes, it does integrate with QuickBooks. If that's something where you're not ready for Foundation, Jim, I don't know if you wanted to elaborate on maybe how that, what pushes back to QuickBooks.
Yeah, so it will push back at the click of a button. Basically, general ledger and job costing information. So, I mean, this is a good way to paint the picture of what goes back. Now, again, keep in mind, if you're sitting out there and you're like, but I'm not on QuickBooks, I'm on some other system, you know what I mean? That's one of those things where, QuickBooks is more of a, off-the-shelf, out-of-the-box type software. We're kind of one file size fits all. So that's why most of our literature will say QuickBooks and other accounting programs, because when you get into more custom setup ones, like even Foundation, there are, based on the way you're set up, based on your needs, meaning, hey, do I need cost codes, phase codes? There's a talk to be had there, but we do a good job being a SQL database, kicking this out with the click of a button that goes right into QuickBooks with all that general ledger and job info. And then if you're on another system, we can go to further level detail. We just need to kind of see how that system's set up.
Perfect. Exporting to Excel. Yeah, it in all easiness, is basically you just have an export button for Excel right at the top of the main screen, which I think Jim's hovering over right now. So yeah, you can dump data to Excel, PDF, Word, a CSV file. So yeah, we've got a few options to just push data directly to Excel. Also, it's an open SQL database, so anybody who's a little bit more advanced with certain Excel queries, you could go into Excel and pull data. But yes, simple answer is you can export data directly to Excel. Does the accounting side track equipment expenses? Yes, we have an equipment module for people that have equipment where they'd like to track either location of equipment, usage cost, preventative maintenance. Yes, so that is something that's available. There's a number of options here. Oh, HR capabilities. So I'll let Jim elaborate a little bit more. Payroll and Payroll for construction has some HR functionality built in, depending on certain needs, whether, of course, like 401k, we have user-defined fields to track, certification levels, any special notes or records on an employee record. We have a solution where employees can see their pay stubs and PTO balances, et cetera, online, the payroll portal. But we do also link with a couple standalone HR solutions that have a little bit more advanced, like onboarding features as well. Jim, did you want to add that? Did you get some questions?
Yeah, no, I was gonna say, So I mean, payroll for construction or foundation. Never had anybody over the years say, "Oh man, I wish I could track this by employer. I wish I could get an employee report for this, or a 401k file for my my vendor." Some of these payroll services, no software company does this, but some of the services out there try to, I call it handcuff you a little bit, meaning, well, if I go with one of these guys, they can pay my 401k. We really don't do it, and the reason why is because they're really just linking with a John Hancock or Fidelity behind scenes. It's like clicking a button once a month to upload the 401k info to your provider and have them just pull it is not a daunting task. The problem does become is once they get you locked into both of those, it's kind of harder to get away from them because now you got to go digging for 401k or health or something like that, when in all actuality, you could have went to the vendor directly yourself. So tracking it, providing files, all fine. Employee seeing pay stubs, putting in PTO requests through the mobile app, tracking all that, and even custom employee list reports where you don't have to be super tech savvy to say, hey, I want a list that has whatever in whatever order over there. So that's all fine. The only piece at this point that we do lack is the onboarding side. So, the applicant tracking to the employee onboarding themselves into foundation or payroll for construction. But we do have a couple companies out there that we work really well with. We'll bring them in if it's, hey, we can provide you with 95% of what you're looking for from an accounting standpoint and or a payroll service standpoint. But that's the one thing that you're also looking for. We have somebody we can partner you up with. The tough thing with that is, again, with us staying really in tune with the construction industry, it's like, hey, we're just seeing contractors start to be able to get their employees on mobile applications. And that's simply job hours and what you did maybe. So, I mean, the things that office people can do that look super simple to them, it's just rolling that out to the field is difficult. So, what we found is we're just starting to see a point in the industry where, okay, you can roll something like that out and not actually have the employee calling you 50 times to be like, what is this, or how do I do that? So that's one of those things that I think over the next few years, you'll see the industry evolve more in that direction, which is, why we play really well with others in the industry to make that a seamless process.
So with time coming up, there's still a number of questions. What I want to do too is let people know, we get back with people with, questions. And obviously if anybody has a lot of questions, really it's probably a great idea to just connect with us directly for a one-on-one call or demonstration. Actually saying that, Jim just on the right track, pulled up our contact information. So yeah, for any specific, and either one of us can help with really any questions, but Jim specifically is best with payroll for construction. Down at the bottom right has his email address, phone number, and then myself, Garrett, on the bottom left for any foundation related questions. We're both more than happy to help. Shoot us emails, call anytime. If you want to schedule a brief run through, more than happy to do that. We will send out a recorded webinar to anybody who registered and of course attended. With that in mind, we both thank you all very much for attending. Hopefully you learned a little bit more about our services, and we look forward to talking to you in the future. Thanks so much.
Thank you, everybody. Have a great day.